Alright, let's do one more example here of solving by elimination, okay? So remember, our first step was multiply equation by a constant so that our coefficients are going to be opposites of each other. If you look here, you can't multiply the top or the bottom by one number so that the coefficients are going to be multiples of each other for x's or for the y's. Okay? So here, we're going to multiply both of the equations by a different number so that the coefficients will be opposites of each other. So let's look at the x's this time. We canceled out the y's last time. Let's look at the x's. So -2 and 3. Think about what you multiply to each of those to get to a number where they're going to be opposites of each other. So let's multiply the entire top part by 3. So that would be -6x minus 12y equals 12. Okay? And then we'll multiply the second equation by 2. So that's going to be 6x plus 6y equals 18. Okay? So now that's our new system, and we saw that multiplying by a constant doesn't change the value, doesn't change the equation. Alright? So now we're going to add these equations to each other. -6x plus 6x. Those guys are going to cancel out, which is what we want. So -12y plus 6y is going to be -6y equals 12 plus 18, which is going to be 30. Alright? Divide by -6, we're going to solve for our variable here. Divide by -6 on both sides, and y is going to be -5. Okay? So now take this, substitute it back in to one of your equations. Okay? I like to work with the original equations as much as possible. That way if something goes wrong, I'll get as much of the problem correct as I can. Alright? So we're going to substitute this back in for the first equation up here. That's going to be -2x minus 4 times -5 equals 4. Alright, so that'll be -2x. -4 times a -5 is going to be a positive 20. That's going to be equal to 4. So that's going to be -2x equals, subtract 20 on both sides. So that'll be -16. Divide by -2 on both sides, -16 divided by -2. Negative divided by negative is a positive. So x is going to be 8. Alright, step 6. What should have been your step 6? Write your answer as an ordered pair. So your ordered pair should be 8 and 5. And then step 7, check your work. So over here we're going to check our work with the original equations. So -2 times 8 minus 4 times -5 equals 4. We're going to see if that's true. So this will be -16. -4 times a -5 plus 20 equals 4. -16 plus 20 is equal to 4. So we're okay there. We're good. Second equation, 3 times 8 plus 3 times -5 is equal to 9. We're going to see if that's true. So 24 minus 15 equals 9. Is 24 minus 15 9? Sure it is. So that means our solution is good. 8, -5 makes both of those equations true, which again is what we want. Alright? So now, I want you guys to stop the video. And I want you guys to solve this equation, this system of linear equations, however you want, okay? And I even want you to go a step further. I want you guys to solve it as many ways as you can, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through and I'm going to solve it all 3 ways. Graphing, elimination, substitution. I'm going to solve it all 3 ways so that you guys, whichever way you pick, whichever way is your favorite, whichever way you're most comfortable with, you guys can check your work no matter how you solve this, okay? And if you solve it all 3 ways, that's fantastic. You know how to do it all 3 ways. You really mastered these last 2 days of lessons, okay? So the first way I'm going to do is the first way that we learned, which is graphing. Alright, step 1 for graphing was graph both of the equations. So to do that, we're going to get both of the equations in slope-intercept form, so we can identify the y-intercept and the slope. So equation 1 here, we're going to subtract x on both sides. So that's going to be -3y equals -x plus 3. Divide by -3 on both sides. Remember when we divide every term by the number. So y is going to be 1/3 x minus 1. Equation 2, trying to get y by itself, so we subtract 2x on both sides. So negative 6y equals negative 2x plus 18. Divide both sides by negative 6. So y is going to equal 1/3 x minus 3. Okay, so let's graph both of these. Top equation, green. Bottom equation, red. Okay, what's the y-intercept of the top equation? What is y going to be when x is 0? Well, when x is 0, 1/3 times 0 is 0. Y is going to be negative 1. So we'll start at negative 1. And our slope is a positive 1/3, so up 1 to the right 3, or down 1 to the left 3. Okay, and then for our bottom equation, it has a y-intercept of negative 3. And up 1, same slope, so up 1 to the right 3, or down 1 to the left 3. Okay, and there's something you should notice about these equations if you didn't already notice it. These lines are going to be parallel to each other, okay? And we should have seen that over here, and we should have recognized that both the lines have the same slope. They have different y-intercepts. They're different lines, so they're not coincident lines. They're going to be parallel lines. And remember, parallel lines don't have any points that make both of the equations true at the same time. They don't have any points that are going to be on both of those lines because the lines don't ever meet each other. So there's not going to be a solution. Alright, so if you solve it by graphing, you could see that pretty quickly, or at least by the end of the process you should have seen it. Okay, so now, if you solve it by substitution, let's see how that works. Look for the easiest variable to solve for substitution. It's going to be x in that top equation. It doesn't have any coefficients. So we add 3y to both sides. So x is the same thing as 3y plus 3. Okay? Plug it in to that second equation. So we're going to have negative 6y plus 2 times whatever x is equals 18. X is the same thing as 3y plus 3. Okay? And then we're going to go through, we're going to solve for y. So we're going to distribute that 2. So negative 6y plus 6 equals 18. Combine like terms, negative 6y plus 6y. Those are going to cancel each other out. So we'll have 0 y's. So we'll have 6 equals 18. Okay? And if you watch the graphing part of that, you knew these lines were parallel and there's no solution. 6 equals 18. When is that going to be true? Never. So that's not going to be true. So you know there's going to be no solution. So that's how that works, substitution-wise. Alright, so now the last way, let's look at elimination. Alright, so what can I multiply the top and the bottom equation by so that the coefficients are going to be opposite? First thing I need to do is rewrite the equation, rewrite the system, lining up the coefficients. Okay? If you don't line up the coefficients, you might end up multiplying the top equation by 6, so that 6x, negative 6y does have opposite coefficients, which is what I almost did before I caught myself there. But that really doesn't help us out. That doesn't cancel out any of the variables. Okay, so now we fix that. Okay, so let's try to cancel out the x's. So we'll multiply that top equation by negative 2, distribute the negative 2 to everything. So our new system, our new equation is going to be negative 2x plus 6y equals negative 6. Okay? So there's our system. We're going to add the system so we can cancel out the x's. 2x plus a negative 2x. Those are going to cancel out. That's going to be 0x. Negative 6y plus a positive 6y. Those are going to cancel out. So there's nothing on that side of the equation. Okay? 18 plus a negative 6 is going to be 12. So when is 0 going to equal 12? It's not. It's never going to be true. So there's no solution. So when you're solving a system using substitution or elimination, if you get to a point where this is not ever going to be true, a number is equal to another number, and that's not going to be true, then it's no solution. If this would have happened, and you would have ended up with a number like 6 equals 6, that's always going to be true. So it would be infinitely many solutions, and the lines would be coincident. So any point on those lines would be an example of a solution to that system. Okay, remember, make sure you have your questions written down. Come to the class regularly tomorrow. Have a good one, guys.